As a species, we aren't built for isolation. From our earliest days, we've been drawn together, driven to gather and build communities. This urge is so deeply wired into our nature that the ancient philosopher Aristotle famously called humans political animals. To him, participating in public life was just an unavoidable part of being human. But living side by side introduces an immediate problem. Every single person in that shared space brings their own specific needs, interests, and deeply held beliefs into the mix. When you place all those competing human desires into a world where resources are strictly limited, friction is guaranteed. Because natural disagreements and finite resources inevitably collide, we need a systematic way to make collective decisions. Without it, society would quickly collapse into gridlock, or worse. Usually, when we hear the word politics, we picture voting booths, partisan shouting matches, or politicians giving speeches. At its core, politics is the underlying process of collective decision-making that affects groups. It is the mechanism we use to answer everyday questions that affect everyone. Questions like, how much tax should we pay? Or, should we spend our collective funds on education or building new healthcare infrastructure? Beneath the noise of campaigns and elections, politics is really just the invisible engine society uses to answer its most basic, inescapable question: who gets what? Political scientist Harold Lasswell described politics simply as who gets what, when, and how. Focusing on gets what, David Easton called this the authoritative allocation of values. A recognized authority decides exactly how society's wealth, services, and opportunities are distributed. You can see this happen on a micro level. When a university decides how to divide its annual funding among different academic departments, it is performing this exact allocation. The exact same logic applies on a macro level. A city council must choose which neighborhood gets a new hospital and which one doesn't. Every physical resource, social opportunity, and financial burden has to be allocated by someone. Because every choice benefits one group and costs another, pure neutrality is impossible. That brings us to the how in Lasswell's equation. You cannot allocate those resources without power. In this context, power is the ability to write the rules, change laws, and dictate where public money flows. That means the study of politics is really the study of influence. We are looking at how different groups acquire that power, how they share it, and how they place limits on it. Power is the currency required to either force or negotiate an outcome in the who gets what equation. Look at this diagram. We're going to use it to untangle a common mistake, using the words politics and government interchangeably. This outer circle represents the state. The state is the permanent organization holding authority over a territory. Inside is the government, the institution that carries out and enforces decisions. At the center is politics, the ongoing process of debating and negotiating before the government acts. Distinguishing between the debate and the enforcer lets you see where a decision actually begins. Without that clarity, it is impossible to know whether you should be challenging the specific law itself or the political process that wrote it. Because politics is simply how we make collective decisions, it exists everywhere. It's in labor union disputes, local community board meetings, and massive international climate agreements. Yes, the process is defined by endless disagreement, but it also forces competing groups to sit down, cooperate, and find compromises. This cycle of arguing and compromising serves as humanity's primary mechanism for resolving disputes without resorting to chaos or violence. So when you choose to ignore the process because it feels frustrating or cynical, those decisions don't stop happening. They just happen without you. You cannot actually opt out of politics. Refusing to participate simply means surrendering your power and leaving it up to someone else to decide who gets what.